We hope you guys are staying warm out there, and we're thankful that you stopped in to check on us. And I'm trying to get my diesel tank set in place before another storm sets in. In order for the diesel tank to work properly, it needs to be up off the ground about 3 feet. And I'm going to use these railroad ties to do this, but the railroad ties have to support about 8,000 pounds once the diesel tank is full. We live in farm country, and if I pay attention to what other farmers do, they typically buy a year's worth of fuel this time of year. Typically late winter, early spring fuel is cheapest. Now I'm not going to be able to get a fuel truck up here for quite a while to fill my tank, but I want to be ready for it when the time comes. And whether we like it or not, and whether we're willing to acknowledge it or not, diesel makes the world go round. And it also makes my world go round up here, because virtually everything I own needs diesel to run. So far in the last few months that we've owned our little fallow deer herd, I have learned that they waste more alfalfa than they eat. They like the leaves, they don't like the stems, which means I have piles of alfalfa left over wherever their feeder sits. My little Bobcat 435 excavator has needed a new set of tracks for a while now, but rather than putting new tracks on it, I'm going to put some chain on them and see if it makes a difference. I'm going to secure the chain by bolting it directly to the tracks, and I really don't care about these tracks too much, so this is a bit of an experiment. So using 1/2-inch galvanized carriage bolts and some 1/2-inch chain, I'm trying to do this as cheap as possible where it will still hold up to the abuse. With nothing but the rubber tracks and some ice or snow on the ground, things can get dangerous pretty quick. This excavator is just the right size where I can reach out and grab onto things and push it around if needed. But if it was much bigger than this, I simply wouldn't use it when there was snow or ice on the ground. So if these chains work, I'll comfortably be able to use the excavator any time of the year. A brand new set of tracks for this machine is right around $3,000 at the moment, but even a brand new set of aggressive tracks still struggles in the ice and snow. The chains break the ice up and give the machine traction in ways that rubber can't get. I don't care what kind of tires you have. Naturally, this is why they make snow chains. And if this works half as well as I think it's going to on my excavator, I think I'm going to add twice as many chains to the tracks. And then I'm going to run them for a while. Before I had chains on the excavator, I couldn't go up this hill right here.
Never felt a kind of love like this before. You took all the worries from my mind. Darling, please forgive me if I stare a little more. I can't look away from those brown eyes. And if we settle down, we don't have to settle down. Please don't be afraid of all the things that could go wrong. We can take our time and we may change our mind. But I can tell the dreams you had last night. You can be so restless in your sleep. I ain't going nowhere, always feels so very right. When you find good love, it's the one that you should keep. And if we settle down, we don't have to settle down. Please don't be afraid of all the things that could go wrong. That we can take our time, and we may change our mind. But I can tell a good thing when a good thing comes along. If I ever hurt you, dear, oh, I apologize. Heaven knows I'm no perfect man. But I can't take another night without you by my side. Please come home as quickly as you can. And if we settle down, we don't have to settle down. Please don't be afraid of all the things that could go wrong. We could take our time, and we may change our mind. But I can tell a good thing when a good thing comes along.
If you say the word climate change 3 times fast, you're guaranteed to get twice as many views. At least that's what it feels like. So this might be the one and only time you hear me use those 2 words together that way. But when it's 37 degrees in the month of January in my neck of the woods, I get nervous because clearly the weather is changing. Every year since we've owned our land, it seems to be slightly different than the year before. And when the snow begins to go away, what seems to be way too early, I get real concerned about our mountainside and our maple trees. This is about the only time that I prefer to be working inside, when the ground looks like this outside. I need to get some progress made on the bumpside diesel, and I can start with that rear F26 fuel tank. I like that little skid steer so much I'm considering getting an identical twin just for backup. But before I can get this 38-gallon fuel tank installed, I want to treat the frame and the skid plate with some POR 15. This truck is going to remain completely mechanical, so there will be no electric fuel pumps or anything like that to worry about. So my plan is to make sure that the fuel system is literally as airtight as it can possibly be, because these fuel systems are so overly prone to finding leaks. These old mechanical diesels can run on just about anything. Motor oil, transmission fluid, a matter of fact, a lot of guys think they run better. But if you think the way I think, there's a lot of reasons to have a completely mechanical vehicle at this moment in time. See what just fell off? This is why these things always have fuel issues. There's the shower head. So this thing was sucking air from right there for sure, which means if it got down to probably a quarter of a tank, it's going to run out of fuel, maybe even closer to half a tank. It's always the shower head. This tank conversion is designed for the 80s and 90s Ford trucks. It takes a saddle tank and a rear tank and converts it into one 38-gallon fuel tank. It takes something like 13 or 14 connections between two tanks, a bypass valve, and a lift pump, and turns it into basically 3 or 4 connections. In the F26 kit, you get copper extensions, which I'm not crazy about, but you're trying to take your existing sending unit and convert it to work in the new 38-gallon tank. Because I ordered F26E instead of F26D, I had to get a little bit creative to make it work, but I think I got it. So now, instead of having two tanks, saddle tank and a rear tank and a bypass valve, which is so problematic on these old Fords, we got one 38-gallon tank now. And assuming I got that float adjusted where it's supposed to be, and assuming the pickup tube is down there where I saw right where it was at, against the bottom of the tube, it should never have issues picking up fuel. But I think by eliminating that saddle tank, it takes something like 14 connections between the two fuel tanks and turns it into like 4. So between here and the mechanical lift pump, there's only going to be 2 hose clamps. And then from there, that's a whole nother conversation. I need to make sure all that's good to go as well at some point. But making progress. This one's a big one. I hope I don't have any conflict between that tank and that bed, but I don't think I did. So. We thank you guys for taking time to stop by and see what we're up to. This next week, I'm really going to put that excavator to the test and see how much those chains make a difference. Please be safe out there, and we'll see you in a week. Let's see how hard it's snowing out here. They'll just stand out there in the snow. They sleep out in the snow. The deer are hardly even bothered by the whatever weather's going on, rain. I think the only thing that they go in that shelter that I built for them for is the wind. They didn't like the wind. The deer like to sit up on the hill up here. Anyway, it's kind of fun to walk outside in the snow and check on your deer.